Some people collect stamps, seeking tiny paper portals to other worlds. Others collect vintage cars, chasing the ghost of bygone horsepower. Denise Carter? She collected shattered reputations. Each life she fractured, each career she derailed, was a trophy mounted on the wall of her cavernous ego. She didn't just crave the ephemeral glow of attention or the rigid thrill of control. She metabolized the suffering of others, converting their anguish into her own narcissistic fuel. Like a meticulously curated natural disaster, she swept through communities, leaving behind a wreckage field of lost jobs, broken trust, and lingering trauma, all while presenting herself as the beleaguered survivor. This story isn't merely about a latte gone wrong or a Karen having a meltdown. It's an autopsy of calculated, weaponized victimhood, a deep dive into a syndicate built on manufactured outrage and cynical exploitation, all orchestrated under the guise of social justice and female empowerment. It's about how Denise, intoxicated by her minor internet celebrity and ruthlessly enabled by a network steeped in deceit, selected me. Chloe, 17, unremarkable, a face in the service industry crowd, as the disposable stepping stone for her next viral power play. And it's the chronicle of how I, the quiet variable she failed to account for, the kid she presumed broken and silenced, refused to be erased. How I moved beyond mere exposure, immersing myself in the digital shadows she cultivated, learning her language of manipulation, and then, piece by painstaking piece, didn't just dismantle her empire. I rewired its foundations, turned its currents against its creator, and orchestrated a public implosion so thorough, so devastatingly precise, it would serve as a chilling case study in the long, cold game of quiet revenge. She entered my world that Tuesday afternoon like a conquering warlord, convinced of her innate superiority and the inherent weakness of anyone paid by the hour. She held her perceived power like a scepter, ready to dispense judgment. I let her maintain that illusion. I allowed the narrative of my swift, humiliating defeat to solidify in her mind, my silence misinterpreted as submission. But in the suffocating quiet of my bedroom, illuminated only by the stark blue light of the monitor screen reflecting off my glasses, amidst the digital debris of my suddenly ruined life, I wasn't just grieving. I was studying, analyzing, adapting. With every keystroke fueled by a chilling blend of caffeine and righteous fury, I began to spin a web. Not a clumsy trap, but an intricate tapestry of truth and misdirection, woven with the very threads of deceit she used, tailored specifically for her brand of blind arrogance to eventually, inevitably, ensnare herself. My name is Chloe, 17 years old. Until recently, a barista navigating the choppy waters of demanding customers and lukewarm tips at a trendy downtown cafe called The Daily Grind, and the unforeseen catalyst that brought down Denise Carter, the self-appointed queen of outrage grifting, and her shadowy consort, Bryce. The air in The Daily Grind that Tuesday felt thick, pregnant with the ozone tang of an approaching storm. Denise Carter's arrival wasn't just an entrance, it was a sonic boom shattering the low murmur of conversation and the hiss of the espresso machine. 4-inch stilettos, sharp as daggers, announced her presence with aggressive clicks on the polished concrete. Her sunglasses, enormous shields of dark plastic, seemed designed less to block the sun and more to intimidate. The designer handbag, likely genuine and costing more than my family's monthly mortgage payment, swung like a censer, radiating an aura of untouchable wealth. Her voice, already pitched for public performance, sliced through the cafe chatter as she barked into her phone about leveraging synergy, disrupting the narrative, and protecting my brand integrity from some perceived slight. It was a monologue delivered for the unwilling audience, a display of importance aimed at diminishing everyone else. With a final theatrical sigh into the phone, "Honestly, the incompetence is staggering. Handle it." She snapped it shut and zeroed in on the counter, her posture a rigid declaration of impatience. I braced myself. "Right," she exhaled, as if drawing breath in my vicinity was a chore. "Let's attempt this again. Hopefully you're capable today." The condescension dripped from every word. Triple shot. Decaf, obviously. Soy and oat milk. Splendid, 50-50 ratio. Use the Madagascar vanilla, not the cheap stuff. Temperature, 117 degrees Fahrenheit. 117 degrees Fahrenheit. Get a digital thermometer. Calibrate it if you must. Any deviation is unacceptable. Clear? The sheer, unadulterated entitlement was breathtaking. It wasn't just an order, it was a power play disguised as preference. I pasted on the customer service smile, the one that felt like stretching cold plastic over my face. "Crystal clear?" I replied, my voice carefully neutral, betraying none of the internal monologue that was composing a mental treatise on the banality of performative privilege. One meticulously engineered, temperature-precise beverage coming right up. I turned to the gleaming espresso machine, my movements deliberate. Measure the soy, measure the oat, a perfect 50-50. Pull the triple decaf shots, watching the crema, ensuring no bitterness. Steam the milk blend, my eyes glued to the digital thermometer's display, nudging it slowly up. 115, 116, 117. Perfect. Add the precise pump of the expensive vanilla. Poured it carefully into the cup, no spills. Placed it on the counter with a soft click. Here you are, triple decaf, soy oat blend, Madagascar vanilla, precisely 117 degrees. She eyed the offering as if it might spontaneously combust, picked it up with 2 fingers, swirled it dramatically, took a sip so small it was barely a kiss, and then the curtain rose on her one-act play. A theatrical shudder, a cough, and then the deliberate spray, not directly at me, but onto the gleaming counter beside the cup. A calculated move, ensuring visual evidence of a mess without clear proof of assault. "Ugh! Filth! Absolute toxic sludge!" Her voice climbed, sharp and accusatory. "What is in this? Did you mistake cleaning fluid for oat milk? Are you actively trying to poison paying customers? My God, the sheer incompetence. Do you possess any functional brain cells, or is it just static humming between your ears?" The cafe fell silent. The half-dozen other customers froze, eyes darting between us, trapped in the vortex of her manufactured outrage. My coworker, Maria, a kind college student usually unflappable, stood paralyzed at the pastry case, a croissant suspended in her tongs. I felt a familiar, hot flush creep up my neck, the primal urge to defend myself warring with the drilled-in mantra, de-escalate. The customer is always, well, the customer. "I am genuinely sorry that the drink isn't to your satisfaction," I said, keeping my voice low and steady, projecting calm I absolutely did not feel. "I assure you, I followed your detailed instructions exactly, verifying the temperature twice. Would you like me to remake it, or perhaps offer you something entirely different on the house?" It was the textbook response, appeasement. But Denise wasn't seeking resolution. She was seeking content. Her eyes, visible now as she lowered the ridiculous sunglasses, held a predatory gleam. She wasn't angry, she was excited. This was her stage. She fumbled with calculated slowness for her phone. "Oh, it's far too late for remakes," she spat, angling the phone's camera upwards, hitting the record button with a decisive tap. My stomach twisted into a knot of ice. Showtime. "I am literally shaking right now, you guys," she began, her voice instantly adopting a tremulous, victimized tone. "I cannot comprehend the level of hostility I'm encountering. This employee." A quick, jerky pan in my general direction, catching my stunned, deer-in-headlights expression, completely snapped when I simply, politely, pointed out my drink was wrong. She started screaming. Lie 1. Hurling insults, called me a stupid, jealous bitch. Lie 2. Utterly fabricated and designed to inflame, slightly altered perhaps, but just as venomous. And then she practically threw the scalding drink across the counter at me. "Look." She tilted the phone dramatically towards the small puddle she herself had created. "I'm filming this because I genuinely fear for my physical safety. This kind of workplace aggression is terrifying and needs to be exposed. Pure fiction, every syllable meticulously crafted for maximum outrage yield. I hadn't screamed, I hadn't used any slurs, I hadn't moved the cup after placing it down. I stood there, mute, pinned by the spotlight of her narrative, the lies hitting me like physical blows. Maria looked utterly horrified, mouthing, "She's lying," but silenced by the intensity of Denise's performance and the implicit threat. Denise sniffled, dabbed at a perfectly dry eye, shot me a final look of venomous triumph, and swept out, leaving behind a charged, uncomfortable silence, the faint, cloying scent of her perfume, and the small, sad puddle of lukewarm latte evaporating on the counter. Maria finally unfroze, rushing over. "Chloe, oh my God, that was unreal! She made all of that up. I saw everything. You were totally calm." "I know," I managed, my voice tight, tasting like ash. "I know, but watch. By tomorrow, her version will be the only one that matters." My prediction was tragically accurate. Sleep offered no escape that night. Every time I drifted off, snippets of the confrontation replayed, morphing into monstrous accusations. By sunrise, my phone was a symphony of digital damnation. Denise's edited clip, a masterclass in manipulative framing, had exploded. Quick cuts, isolated fleeting moments where my concentration looked like anger. Background noise was manipulated to make my calm responses sound clipped and aggressive. Crucially, Maria was edited out entirely. Reaction shots of other customers, who were staring, bewildered at Denise's outburst, were cleverly spliced in to make it appear they were reacting in horror to me. The internet judiciary delivered its verdict swiftly and brutally. Fire her now at the daily grind. Typical female rage, she needs anger management and jail time. The accusations often took on ugly, gendered tones. Boycott, the daily grind, they employ abusers. Someone finds out where this psycho lives. Expose her. My face, my name, suddenly became shorthand for toxic service worker. My DMs became a toxic waste dump of threats, insults, and gleeful declarations of my cancellation. Someone had already found my personal Instagram profile, sharing it widely. Photos of me with friends, with my family, were flooded with vile comments. Before I could even process the onslaught, Dave, my boss, called. He sounded like he'd aged 10 years overnight, usually laid back, fair, a decent guy, but the digital firestorm was clearly terrifying him. "Chloe, kiddo, don't come in today, please. The phones haven't stopped ringing. Corporate is going ballistic. They saw the video." His voice dropped. "Look, it's an immediate suspension, pending a full investigation. Standard procedure, my hands are tied." He paused, then added, his voice heavy with discomfort, "And Chloe, this morning, someone claiming they were a customer yesterday called HQ's complaint line. They backed up her story, said you were visibly agitated and muttering under your breath even before she complained." Another lie. A planted digital dagger to twist the narrative further. Denise, or more likely Bryce, was already shoring up the fabrication, creating fake witnesses. My stomach churned. This wasn't just an outburst, it was orchestrated. Walking through my own neighborhood later that day felt like navigating a minefield. Was that person staring? Did the cashier at the grocery store recognize me from the viral clip? The weight of unseen judgment pressed down, suffocating. Paranoia, cold and unwelcome, became my shadow. Then came the phone call that felt like the final demolition charge to my already crumbling world. Emily, my best friend since middle school, the person I told everything to, the one who knew my dreams and my deepest insecurities. Her voice on the phone was alien, stripped of warmth, replaced by a brittle, strategic chill. "Chloe," she began. No preamble. "I saw the video. Everyone has. And honestly, the energy around this is just toxic." "Emily, it's lies. You know me better than anyone," I pleaded, desperation cracking my voice. "You were literally just here last week complaining about your annoying customers. You know I wouldn't do that." "Knowing doesn't change the present reality, Chloe," she retorted coolly. "And the reality is this is huge. It reflects badly on anyone associated with you, my brand, my platform. It's about positivity, light. I can't be dragged down by this darkness." My breath hitched. Her brand? Our friendship versus her brand? And, she continued, dropping the final blow, Denise Carter actually reached out, left a supportive comment on my latest reel offering solidarity. She has connections, Chloe. Real influence. I need to be strategic about my associations. It's just bad optics to be linked with you right now. We're on different paths. I'm sorry. Click. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the frantic pounding in my chest. She hadn't just abandoned me. She'd chosen proximity to my accuser's toxic fame over years of friendship. The betrayal felt absolute, a gaping wound where loyalty used to be. Job, reputation, friends distancing themselves, best friend gone, siding with the enemy for clout. My carefully constructed teenage world detonated by a stranger's calculated performance and a cascade of lies. Meanwhile, Denise ascended. More live streams, each more tearful than the last. Guest spots on mid-tier podcasts, recounting her harrowing ordeal. She spoke vaguely of legal action, of needing extensive therapy for the emotional scars. Her Venmo QR code and Cash App tag became permanent fixtures on her profiles. Donations flooded in, accompanied by fawning messages. "You're so brave. Thank you for your vulnerability. Sending love and light and $50. I sat in my darkened room for what felt like days. The only light source, the toxic glow of the screen reflecting the curated misery of my tormentor. The initial volcanic rage had cooled, not into ash, but into something denser, sharper. An obsidian shard of resolve. Helplessness curdled into a cold, methodical anger. She hadn't just attacked me. She had underestimated me. She saw a disposable pawn. She failed to see the strategist lying dormant beneath the quiet teen exterior. If she wanted to play games with reality, fine. I would learn the rules faster than she could change them. If she built her throne on lies, I would meticulously excavate the truth and use it to engineer its collapse. The shift wasn't a lightning strike. It was a slow crystallization of purpose in the crucible of despair. I stopped consuming the hate and started dissecting the source. My laptop became my command center, my weapon. The first step, understand the enemy. This wasn't just scrolling. It was digital archaeology. Hours bled into days. I devoured everything Denise Carter had ever posted online. Her polished Instagram, her half-abandoned Twitter, a defunct lifestyle blog from 6 years ago, tagged photos, forum mentions, even cached versions of deleted pages via the Wayback Machine. I wasn't just looking for inconsistencies, I was mapping the evolution of her persona, the refinement of her grifts. The spreadsheet became my sanctuary, a place where chaos could be ordered. Columns, date, location, target, business employee name if available, accusation type, racism, sexism, homophobia, aggression, etc. Video evidence, YN, edited, platform, donation link active, YN, estimated donation window, key phrases used in accusation, corroborating fake accounts noted, patterns leaped out, the geographical clusters, often hitting multiple small businesses in one area over a few weeks, the escalation in accusations over time, the recurring donation surges correlating with specific sob stories. I learned about open-source intelligence, OSINT, from unlikely corners of the internet, cybersecurity forums, investigative journalism subreddits. Reverse image searching profile pictures of her most ardent supporters often led back to stock photo sites or accounts created only days before commenting. Analyzing the metadata of photos she posted sometimes revealed inconsistencies in location or timing. Tracking her donation links across platforms showed a deliberate funneling strategy. It was during one bleary-eyed 3 a.m. session, deep in the archives of a defunct video platform called VidSphere she'd clearly forgotten existed, that I found the Rosetta Stone of her deception. A video from 2 years prior. Different city, different trendy cafe. Denise, younger but unmistakable, accusing that barista, with theatrical tears, of using the exact same phrases she had attributed to me. Called me a stupid bitch. Threw the drink. Feared for my safety. Word for word identical. It wasn't just exaggeration, it was a script, a reusable template for public execution. The cold thrill that shot through me was quickly followed by nausea. This was premeditated, serial. But the script felt almost too perfect to find. Was it incompetence, or was Bryce, the shadowy figure Sarah had mentioned, clever enough to plant something like this, knowing it might eventually surface but be deniable? The paranoia returned. I needed more. I needed the network. Finding Sarah, the fired waitress, was a breakthrough. I traced her through a comment she'd left on an old news article about restaurant worker rights, her username vaguely familiar from my spreadsheet research. Reaching out anonymously using an encrypted email service was tense. Her initial reply was terse, fearful. "Leave me alone. You don't know what they're capable of." Bryce threatened to sue me into oblivion, release fake embarrassing info about me online if I ever talked. He said he had friends who could make my life hell. She confirmed Bryce was the engine, the strategist. Denise was the volatile, attention-hungry face. Her fear was palpable, but her confirmation of Bryce's threats and methods was invaluable. It painted a picture of a coordinated operation, not just one woman's histrionics. Now the plan began to form. Not a simple counterattack, but a multi-stage campaign designed to dismantle their credibility, sow discord, and leverage external forces. Direct confrontation was suicide. I needed to orchestrate a collapse from within and without. Phase 1. Operation Seed of Doubt. Releasing my definitive side-by-side proof immediately felt wrong. It would be my word and footage against hers, and she'd already proven adept at muddying the waters. Instead, I needed to erode her credibility subtly first. I chose a notoriously cynical online forum, The Debunkery, known for its users' obsessive dedication to dissecting viral content. Using a freshly created anonymous persona, TruthSifter88, I posted, "Weird observation. Anyone else notice Denise Carter's barista rage incident uses almost identical phrasing to an incident she posted about 2 years ago on VidSphere? Link to archived VidSphere clip versus link to current viral clip. Coincidence or recycled script?" I didn't mention my own involvement. I presented it as a curious third-party observation. Then, the agonizing wait, checking the thread every 15 minutes. Initial responses were skeptical, probably reaching. Lots of Karens sound the same. But then, a few meticulous users started digging themselves and finding corroborating details. Slowly, hesitantly, the consensus shifted. That is weirdly specific. The cadence is almost identical. Okay, TruthSifter88 might be onto something. It was a tiny crack in her armor, but it was a start, planted by an invisible hand. Phase 2. Operation Trojan Horse. While the forum buzzed quietly, I focused on Bryce and Denise. Sarah's mention of Bryce controlling the finances sparked an idea. How could I verify? I spent days cross-referencing usernames known to donate heavily to Denise, some likely fake accounts run by Bryce, with public data breaches accessible on the dark web, using Tor browser, heart-pounding. It was a long shot, but I found a minor overlap. A username linked to Bryce in a gaming forum breach used the same password hash as an account making suspiciously large, regular donations to Denise via a less secure platform. Circumstantial, but suggestive. More concretely, I noticed Bryce's own barely disguised social media, a fitness influencer parody account, showed him flaunting expensive items, watches, car accessories, that seemed beyond the means of someone supposedly just supporting Denise. Was he skimming more than Denise knew? Time to weaponize that possibility. I created another anonymous persona, this time on Instagram, Warrior Sister, Support. Profile pic, a generic live laugh love graphic. I followed Denise, liked a few posts, then slid into her DMs. "OMG Queen Denise, stay strong. You inspire me, SM. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Be careful, girl. Heard some worrying whispers in the support community that Bryce might be, maybe not totally transparent with the funds. Someone mentioned weird transfers. Probably nothing, just haters being jealous. But wanted you to be aware. Protect your energy. has women supporting women. I mimicked the toxic positivity language of her followers. The goal wasn't to convince her instantly, but to plant a seed of paranoia. Let her own mistrustful nature do the work. Days later, I saw a vague, passive-aggressive tweet from Denise. "Loyalty is everything. Beware of snakes hiding in plain sight. One should trust no one." Maybe a hit. Maybe coincidence. Either way, the psychological warfare had begun. My internal debate about using manipulation felt distant. Exposing their larger fraud felt like the overriding ethical imperative. Phase 3. Operation Blind Drop. Martin Hayes. The investigative journalist Sarah had mentioned Bryce feared. I didn't wait for him to stumble onto the forum thread or my eventual video. I needed him primed, armed, and ready to strike when the moment was right. I spent hours reading his back catalog, understanding his methods, his focus on digital fraud and manipulation. He was thorough, respected, and crucially, seemed to operate with discretion. Compiling the dossier took 2 full days. It included the VidSphere verses, current incident script comparison, the detailed spreadsheet mapping Denise's pattern, Sarah's anonymized testimony, with her reluctant permission for Hayes only, screenshots of the suspicious financial activities linked to Bryce, links to the growing debunkery forum thread, analysis of the fake corroborating accounts. I encrypted the entire package using PGP encryption, something I'd taught myself from online tutorials, fingers trembling slightly as I generated the keys. I sent it via a secure, anonymous email drop service. Subject: Investigative Lead, the Denise Carter/Bryce Conklin Victimhood Fraud Ring, evidence package attached. The wait for a response was excruciating. 48 hours of silence. Had it gone to spam? Had he dismissed it? Then a curt, encrypted reply, "Received." Interesting. Need verification on Victim S. Can you facilitate secure contact or provide more direct evidence linking Conklin financially? He was cautious. Good, I replied, offering to securely relay messages to Sarah, who agreed nervously, and providing clearer screenshots of Bryce's spending patterns juxtaposed with donation timelines. Hayes replied again, "Proceeding with investigation. Maintain this channel. Do not go public prematurely." The hook was set. Phase 4. Operation Controlled Demolition. Only now, with the anonymous forum seeding doubt, potential discord sown between Denise and Bryce, and a major journalist actively investigating, was it time for the direct hit. I scheduled a meeting with Dave, not in the cafe but at a neutral coffee shop miles away. I laid it all out, the full, unedited security footage on my laptop, time-stamped. I explained Denise's history, the scripted nature of her accusation, the planted corroborating witness. Dave watched the footage, his face going from stressed to shocked to pale with dawning horror and guilt. "Oh my God, Chloe, we just believed her. The pressure, the calls." He looked physically ill. "Maria tried to tell me, but she was intimidated, and the fake witness call." I let him process it. "I need you to officially clear my name internally, Dave, and I need a copy of that full, unedited footage with the timestamps visible." He agreed immediately, promising to rectify the situation with HR and corporate security, offering profuse apologies. He also confirmed Maria had indeed tried to defend me, but backed down when the corporate heat intensified. Back home, armed with the official footage file, I meticulously edited the side-by-side comparison. Her viral lies on the left, the unedited time-stamped truth on the right. No commentary, no music, just brutal, undeniable juxtaposition. I timed the upload carefully. Hayes had given me a coded heads-up his article was dropping the next day. I hit upload late that evening, tagging Denise, Bryce, The Daily Grind, Martin Hayes, and several major news outlets. The feeling wasn't triumph, not yet. It was the terrifying calm of pulling the pin on a grenade. No going back. The explosion was immediate and immense. My video, boosted by the users on the debunkery forum who now saw the full picture, went hyper-viral overnight. Martin Hayes's exposé dropped the following morning, a detailed, damning account of the entire fraud ring, citing my video, the anonymous dossier, and his own corroborating evidence. The combined impact was catastrophic for Denise and Bryce. The internet, fed a diet of lies for months, turned with the ferocity of a starved beast. The comment sections became a digital auto-da-fe. Denise's attempts to delete, deny, and deflect were futile. Screenshots were everywhere. Her carefully crafted victim narrative was shredded, replaced by the stark reality of a calculating predator. The FBI raid, Denise's pathetic live-streamed arrest. "It's a conspiracy, they're silencing me," she sobbed to a global audience now laughing or raging. Bryce's comical capture near the border. It all felt surreal, like watching the finale of a particularly trashy reality show I had somehow directed. Sarah called me, crying with relief. "I can finally breathe, Chloe. Thank you. You gave me my voice back." We spoke for a long time. Hearing the full extent of the fear and intimidation she'd endured solidified the righteousness of my cold, calculated campaign. My parents, who had oscillated between worried disbelief and terrified support throughout the ordeal, my mother losing sleep, my father quietly researching defamation lawyers just in case, were simply relieved I was safe, vindicated, but visibly shaken by the darkness I had navigated. A tense family dinner turned into a tearful group hug. The apologies flowed in. A groveling corporate letter from the Daily Grind's CEO offering reinstatement, back pay, and a surprisingly generous settlement for damages. I accepted the settlement, politely declined the job. Some bridges are best left burned. The principal's public commendation felt strangely hollow, but my parents framed it anyway. Then came the email that shifted everything. The scholarship offers from the prestigious university's journalism school. It wasn't just validation, it was a door swinging open, away from the wreckage, and towards a future I hadn't dared to imagine. Emily's final text, "Chloe, heard everything, so much I didn't know. I am truly deeply sorry. I let ambition blind me. Can we please talk? I miss you." Landed with a dull thud. The hurt had scabbed over, leaving only scar tissue and a profound sense of disappointment. I saw the calculation peeking through the remorse. My reply, "I hope you find the credibility you were looking for." "Goodbye, Emily." Wasn't angry, it was simply closing a lock. Blocking her number afterwards felt less like an act of spite and more like tidying up, removing something that no longer belonged in my life. The anonymous DM and the coffee cup threat felt like pathetic aftershocks, the last rattling gasps of a defeated entity. Turning them over to the detective felt like handing over historical artifacts, relics of a battle already won. The fear was gone, replaced by a weary sense of finality. They were footnotes now, not active threats. The months that followed weren't about forgetting, but about processing and finally healing. The settlement money helped ease my family's stress and allowed me to focus entirely on the future the scholarship represented. I accepted the university's offer, choosing to major not just in journalism, but also minoring in digital forensics, a path forged in the crucible of Denise Carter's lies. College was a new beginning in every sense. New city, new faces, new challenges. The anonymity was refreshing. Here, I wasn't the barista from the viral video. I was just Chloe, the freshman figuring out campus maps and caffeine tolerances. I threw myself into my studies, the late nights now spent dissecting libel law or practicing interview techniques instead of mapping fraud networks. The skills I'd honed in secret, meticulous research, critical analysis, understanding online manipulation, were now assets, not just survival tools. I kept in touch with Maria, who had quit the daily grind shortly after I did. We bonded over shared battle scars and coffee at much friendlier establishments, forging a solid friendship built on mutual respect. She was thriving in her nursing program, her inherent kindness now channeled towards healing instead of appeasing entitled customers. I also received an email from Sarah, the waitress Bryce had intimidated. She'd used some of the restitution funds awarded from the court case against the Karen ring. Their convictions were swift, aided by the mountain of evidence and flipped co-conspirators, to go back to school part-time. She sounded lighter, hopeful, finally free from the shadow they had cast over her life. Knowing my actions had helped pave the way for her recovery brought a warmth that pure revenge never could. One crisp autumn afternoon, sitting in the university library working on a piece for the student newspaper, an investigative article about predatory campus landlords using OSINT skills to uncover hidden ownership structures, I paused. The familiar focus was there, the drive to uncover the truth, but the cold fury that had fueled me during the Denise Carter saga was gone. It was replaced by something quieter, steadier, a sense of purpose. A classmate, Maya, a sharp-witted, aspiring photojournalist I'd partnered with on a few projects, slid into the chair opposite me. "Find anything juicy, Woodward?" She grinned, nodding at my screen full of database entries. "Maybe," I smiled back, a genuine smile that reached my eyes. "Enough to make some slumlords sweat, I think." "Good," she said, her expression turning serious but kind. "You're good at this, Chloe. Finding the truth, I mean, even when it's buried deep." Her words resonated. She didn't know the full story of why I was good at it, not yet anyway, but maybe someday I'd tell her. For now, it was enough to be seen for the skills I had, not the ordeal I'd endured. Looking out the library window at the vibrant campus life, students laughing, arguing about politics, rushing to classes, I felt a profound sense of peace settle over me. The shadows of Denise Carter, Bryce, and Emily were finally receding, relegated to a past I had survived, learned from, and overcome. The victory wasn't sterile anymore. It felt clean, earned. The ashes had become fertile ground. I wasn't just the kid who fought back. I was Chloe, future journalist, survivor, and for the first time in a long time, genuinely, uncomplicatedly happy. The world had tried to break me based on lies, but I had rebuilt my life on the foundations of truth. And the future, finally, looked bright, clear, and full of possibility. I took a deep breath, turned back to my laptop, and continued writing. There were more stories to tell, more truths to uncover, and I was ready.